70-day countdown to a May 14, 2022 fig tree generation rapture. Ukraine war precursor to Gog-Magog war. As always, I want to start this video by saying that the rapture date discussed in this video is hypothetical only and based on a theory which may or may not be correct. Get it? Just a subtle joke for those who can catch it. I am also only using May 14th date because that is the most obvious date connected with the fig tree generation, because it is the date when the modern state of Israel began in 1948. But as those who have been following this channel know, I am open to other dates around this time, for various unrelated reasons, which you will see if you watch earlier videos. 74 years later, minus 70 days as I make this video, here we are. As I write the script for this video, the world is watching the embattled nation of Ukraine with bated breath to see what the outcome of the Russian invasion will be, but as Rapture watchers follow the news, we have another future Russian invasion on our minds, the one prophesied in Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39. Could we be on the cusp of the Gog-Magog war? Is the Ukraine war a precursor which could lead to the prophesied invasion from Syria into northern Israel, in which Russia is accompanied by the other nations mentioned in the prophecy, which we know already have their armies positioned in Syria ready to go? These are questions which will be answered in the next 70 days. Perhaps the date I am predicting for the rapture is too early. Maybe it will be later this year, or in a later year. Right now though, the world certainly seems to be in a very dangerous place, and it is likely that the drastic sanctions measures taken by European nations and the US could push Russia into an even more reckless move in the Middle East, into another nation which is not part of NATO, a nation that already has many enemies in the world and few friends. The tiny nation of Israel has had more resolutions passed against it in the UN than any other nation in the history of the UN, and with very little justification other than that it is a nation that has always been at war with powerful neighbors who object to Israel for heavily ingrained racial, religious and political reasons. It seems that God's people, as imperfect as they are hated with an irrational hatred that belies the real size and strength of who they are and what they have done in the world, when Israel's greatest achievements have not even been military, they have been scientific, humanitarian, medical, agricultural, the list goes on. These are very brave, talented, resourceful people who have turned a desert wasteland into a flourishing garden that exports food to the rest of the world. A scenario I have been turning over in my mind is that however the Ukraine war ends, Russia will be in a very desperate place because of the sanctions and will need to make money in the only way they know how, drilling for oil and gas and selling it to Europe. If it turns out that the land grab in Ukraine is successful, maybe Putin will start eyeing the Leviathan oil and gas field off the coast of Israel, and I believe there is also oil in the Golan Heights, which could explain the reason why Putin recently made a point of saying that the Golan Heights belongs to Syria, not Israel. Very convenient for Putin, as he is in control of Syria through his stranglehold on the Assad regime, which now owes its very existence to the intervention of the Russian armed forces about 10 years ago. But of course, as in Ukraine, Putin couldn't just take the portion of the country where the oil is, he also would have to take the entire country and effect regime change in order to not have interference from the current government in that country. Seems like a cookie-cutter game plan for the mad Russian dictator, who is not really so mad, just plain evil and dangerous in his ruthless geopolitical machinations. If he gets away with stealing Ukraine, he could well think he will get away with doing the same to Israel. But God. Read Ezekiel 38 and 39 to find out how that turns out, Mr. Putin. As always, comment, like and subscribe, and see you on the other side if the Lord doesn't tarry.